Hello everybody! Welcome to Classic Reddit, where real humans read Reddit content. Today's question is, hello, shy people. What is your worst experience? And it was posted by Yaman007. This response is by Fukutronics. I wouldn't say this is my worst experience, but it is amusing to me. I was setting up a network in a small satellite office and was still working when the last person left. It was nighttime and they didn't see me or know I was still there, so they turned out all the office lights as they left. I left them off because I enjoy working in the dark and I do it often. After an hour, another worker came back into the office to do something or another, and rather than have to say hi, I opted to hide under the desk I was in at an open office as a 35-year-old man. I'm not sure why I did that, but luckily, they didn't notice me and left again after 15 minutes. NGL had to chuckle at this. Sounds like something I would do rather than explaining to the person that I enjoy being in the dark and seeming weird. This reply to, hey shy people, what is your worst experience? I was having a panic attack at work one day. I took my magic pill, put in some headphones, and curled up under my desk. I fell asleep, which is the only 100% sure way for me to break out of the spiral. Enough so that I sometimes take a double dose of Benadryl for if I don't have my prescription meds. A little while later, a coworker knocked on my door. She works in a different building, so when I didn't answer, she just decided to wait until I presumably came back. She was pregnant and tried, and so let herself in to sit while she waited, which is entirely within bounds of our relationship. I woke to the knocking, but I decided to ignore it since I was groggy and I was under the desk. Then I had to decide what to do as I lay awake under my desk while someone else just sat on the other side. Eventually, I showed myself, scaring the literal out of the poor girl in the process. Pregnancy. He actually means she pissed herself. It actually ended up being a good thing, since this gave both of us an opportunity to feel out the other person about mental health challenges, and we came to rely on each other based on our shared annoyance at our misbehaving serotonin receptors. You just unlocked a memory for me. I was in 4th or 5th grade. We were running late one day for my dad to get to work, and he didn't notice school was delayed an hour, so he dropped my brother and I off. I walked to my class to find it empty, so I hide under my desk for whatever reason. My teacher walks in, and she must have been saying hi to another teacher walking past. I thought she said hi to me, so I crawl out from under and I say hi. She was so confused why one of her students was hiding under a desk. Then there was the awkwardness of the rest of my classmates coming in a while later, wondering why I'm already in class before everyone else. That's funny. Yeah, I've more or less done stuff like that too. Someone on their way out doesn't notice I'm still there, they turn off the lights. I don't say a thing. Hide under the desk. Gah, I hate open office designs. I've been so tempted. It's an adjustable desk that can be set to standing. Just raise the desk all the way up, put a heavy curtain around it, and move in under the desk. And yes, when nobody's in the office, I've tried it under the desk many times. Comparatively nice. Also, hell of a lot quieter. Notice that any time or occasion I have reason to put my head under my desk. A similar thing happens to me during my OJT. It was early in the morning and I'm working in an office in front of a computer. The lights are off and I'm wearing a sweater. An employee who walks by, and as she saw me from the window, she thought she saw a ghost. The talk even reached the HR and other departments. Reminds me of pooping when the automatic lights turn off on you. Then someone walks in. This reply to, hey shy people, what is your worst experience? Putting a year's worth of confidence into a job interview just to be the quiet one after you get the job. The anxiety, dude. I have the same. At an interview for an internship, I was really talkative, and I tried to come off as confident. When I actually interned there, I would go on these long drives when my boss and I just couldn't think of a single thing to say. Yeah, same thing happened to me. During my interview, they told me I was bubbly and personable. For the first 3 days on the job, they kept asking if I was okay and if I was sick because I was so quiet. No, you just grossly misunderstood who I am as a person. This reply by Octopus Pudding. I always worry at a new job that my supervisors have buyer's remorse because the ultra-confident, well-spoken saccharine facade I put on during the interview is definitely not how my depressed, jaded, antisocial ass normally behaves in day-to-day life. Ugh, job interviews. I always feel like I hold my breath through the whole thing. Stumble to keep the convo going, awkward silences, can't remember the right word, say too many times. So much dread and procrastination that I've stuck with my dead end, but pays the bill job for 15 years. I've tried to get a new job maybe 2 or 3 times, and the performance anxiety of meeting new people and trying to convince them you're the person for the job is just too much. Try sprucing yourself up for 20 job interviews over a year and getting rejected by all of them, then having your sister get hired on her first interview just because she talks nicer. I got a job recently, a new job, and my boss doesn't talk much. He's quite soft-spoken, and when he does talk, he has a very heavy accent that's quite hard to understand. I was elated to finally work somewhere that my introversion wouldn't become a topic. And sure enough, my first week, my boss called me quiet in front of all my new coworkers. I cried on the drive home that day. My 10th job, and without fail, I've been called quiet within my first few days of any job I've ever had. Despite this, I really love the job and am outgoing with my coworkers after settling in. But I was so discouraged at the time when the quietest man I've ever met called me quiet. Manly is a strange choice of word considering I'm a woman. Being quiet is an insecurity of mine, and having any insecurity repeatedly called out in every social setting when making first impressions gets emotionally draining. Because when it's used, and it's been used as a criticism all of one's life, and one tries over and over again to change it, it is crushing to learn that despite everything, you still are what you have always been. This is it. Wherever you go, there you are. I personally no longer mind that I'm quiet, but it still bothers me when it's brought up with negative or humiliating connotation. And I had difficulty making friends at work when I was younger, so some old anxieties get triggered. Oh God, I really feel this. I just started a new job, and during the interviews, my manager asked, "How would you describe yourself? Introverted or extroverted?" I'll bet I can answer this one. You seem like a classic extrovert to me. Buddy, I had to hype myself up to even show up to this interview, but thanks for reassuring that my fake-ass public persona is working. Yeah, this. My boss told me that in my interview 2 years ago, I was very talkative, and he didn't know how to get me to stop talking, but I'm the absolute opposite on the job. 3 months ago, I put in a year's worth of confidence into this job interview. I spent the whole night and then the morning preparing the background and the best answers and the best light and making myself presentable and all of that. And the man, he didn't seem to even want to interview me. He didn't read my resume, his cam was off, so it felt like I was talking to no one. And then he said he would contact me soon. I haven't heard anything from him since, and I didn't even bother sending him more resumes after that. Yep. Though I don't get anxiety. I just find it humorous I pulled a sneaky on them. Did it for an internship at a radio station. I made myself charismatic and told the very rare times I did something crazy. Ha! Got them. They immediately realized I couldn't follow up and mostly had me do clerical work. I didn't care. I got my class credit and something interesting on my resume, and hung out with celebs since they saw me non-threatening as can be. It's worse when you use the year's worth of confidence and don't get the job. Interviews are horrible. I was working in a temp position. I interviewed for a job with my current managers, who liked me, for a permanent position, and I still struggled in that interview so badly. Luckily, I still got the position. I did this when I got my job, which I have no idea how I did anymore. I was there for 2 years and didn't talk to anybody who didn't talk to me first. When it was people's birthdays, everyone would sign a card for them, but I was clearly so forgetful that I never got a card. I wonder if anyone realized I left. Yes, I interview pretty well, but then I'm hired and don't say anything for 6 months. Ugh. This reply to Hey Shy people, what is your worst experience? In my high school Spanish class, some kid screamed, "Do you ever talk?" at me in front of the entire class. Super embarrassing at the time, but hilarious to look back on. For those curious, I said nothing in response. I had a similar experience in freshman science class in high school. Hardly ever talked, and I guess the teacher somehow got it in her head that I was mute. She came up to me early one morning just before class with a sign language interpreter and asked if I needed help participating in class. Looked her dead in the eye and said, "I can talk." Turned out she needed 5 different shades of red to show how embarrassed she got when the interpreter wasn't actually needed. I had a moment like this when I was a kid. I'm not shy, but if I have nothing to say to you, I won't. Anyway, when I was 11, I was awarded the title of the quietest camper, and when I got up to get my shitty award, everyone was chanting, "Talk, talk, talk," as if they didn't have the opportunity of the entire summer to take the time to hear what I had to say. When I was in high school, I killed my already dead grandpa a couple times to avoid social events. That's funny. My grandpa died. Oh, God. Similar thing happened to me. I sat at the back of the room and answered the register too quietly. Had to repeat myself a couple times and then just raise my hand. The guy on the table next to me jokingly asked his friends if I could even talk. I hated answering for attendance ever since that. I've also had this happen, except it was a priest who asked during the catechism classes. I just shook my head. The other kids laughed. The priest was pissed. First day at a new school. Asked some kid if I had a class with him if I could sit with him. Apparently it was a group of semi-popular good friends. I didn't say as much as no one tried to talk to me. About halfway through lunch, some kid started yelling, "Talk, talk, talk, talk," to me with his finger pointed across the lunch table in front of everyone. 10th grade. I feel your pain. Holy dude. I could have died for real. I forgot that moment purposefully until I read your comment. That was really fucking obnoxious. There was this one girl in one of my classes who would bully me mercilessly because I was so shy. One day, when she pulled the old, "Do you even talk?" I had had enough and just blurted out, "Do you ever shut the fuck up?" She was so shocked. She never really said to me again, and the teacher was so shocked I said that, I never got in trouble for cursing at her. And I promptly never spoke in that class again. I would have said, "Do you ever stop?" to myself in the shower 5 years later. I'm the quiet one among my friends and family. One day, I decided to attend a wine and painting event that they had going on, and they were doing some prize thing where they called out random attendee numbers to come up and claim a prize. My number got called, and I said, "Hey," and I said, "Here," was waving my hand and everything, but they didn't see me or hear me. So someone shouted for me, and some bitch, who was clearly a bride-to-be with her girls, just says, "Speak louder." So I shouted louder than usual, and she said, "No, now shut your trap." And she just gave me this look and was like, "Okay," and sat back down. This response by everywhere is nowhere. to the question, hey shy people, what is your worst experience? I was in elementary school, and I took a bus home every day. I missed my stop, and I was so terribly shy and quiet that the bus driver didn't hear me. He went on to pick up high school students and didn't notice I was still on the bus. The high school students were so sweet and kind. They alerted the bus driver, and he took me home. My mom was freaking out by the time I got home. Happened to me, too. Fucking wackest shit I ever experienced. I expected these older kids to be dicks, but they were the nicest folk ever. That happened to me as well. I ended up getting off at a different stop in town that I had just moved to. Ended up home alright, thanks to what little navigational skills I had at the time. I was in 7th grade. Even though everything ended up alright, still one of the more harrowing moments in my uneventful life. I fell asleep on the bus in grade 1. I was like the 5th stop on the way home. I was in the front row, and the bus driver did all his stops before going down to my house, pulling in the driveway, then getting my dad to come out and get me. He was pretty cool, except he ran over my dog the same year. Poor Barney. He also makes homemade beer and shine, and it's so good that a 6-pack of his blueberry beer went for $800 at a charity auction. He gave me lots of free beer after high school. I still think he felt bad about Barney. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want a specific Reddit post read out loud in a human voice, let us know. Otherwise, please contact us if you want to make content on YouTube and you want an assistant program to do so. Are you a little bit too intimidated to just make your own videos? Do you want to record yourself reading something that's already in front of you so you don't have to be as creative? Well, we may have solutions for you. All you got to do is go to this YouTube channel's About page, click on the email for business inquiries, do a little captcha code, and send us an email saying you're interested, because we want to talk to you. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.